All right, a very good morning once again. Thank you for joining us in this segment of the topical discussion on a Wednesday, the 27th of August, 2014. And our discussion this morning revolves around what's become the buzz of town in the corridors of Parliament and among farmers and civil society activists. The 1 million signature petition that was raised by civil society budget advocacy group calling on government to scrap taxes they had proposed on agriculture inputs. Well, yesterday they were able to hand in their petition to the Speaker of Parliament, who also seemed to be in agreement with their cause. What lies behind this and how far can they go form the topic for our discussion this morning. And I'm joined by Sophie Kyagulanyi, a tax resource expert from Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, to tell us more about their intentions. Good morning, Sophie.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
What justification do you have for this particular petition?
The justification we have for this petition is that Ugandans are using agriculture to advance their livelihoods, but also to develop as a country. So if we have taxation on especially agriculture inputs, it's going to jeopardize the whole development and the agenda on development. That's
but you realize there is a call to widen the tax base,
yes,
while at the same time to improve infrastructure. So government is looking to every source to raise revenue.
And we agree entirely with the call and also the strategies to widen the tax base. But our question is, where are you taxing? You can't leave an open hole and you don't tax that open hole and attempt to tax the holes that don't generate the revenue you're looking for, because the intention is to generate as much revenue as we can to finance our budget. So the revenue that we generate from the inputs will not take us any far.
Okay. Anyone would be interested to learn about the background. What exactly are you targeting and where is the sticky area that you want to be resolved?
The target is mainly on taxing inputs, and that is seeds, fertilizers, agricultural machinery, hose as they've come out, majorly. And our argument is that these are the inputs farmers or agriculture are going to use to advance agriculture, and that's the investment in agriculture. Remember that Uganda is on the call to advance itself and develop itself through agriculture. So taxing these particular inputs will affect that whole call. So that's where we are pitching the argument.
Yeah, but you seem to be making agriculture an elitist subject. Yet, actually, as we speak, it's the peasant down there who is not very concerned about whether they're going to impose taxes or not. They are going on about their subsistence practice.
I don't agree with you saying that the peasant is not concerned. Why? The peasant is the one who is buying seed, because seed in Uganda has been adulterated. We no longer have organically original seed as we used to. Our farmers today, or that peasant you're talking about, will have to go to the market to buy seed to plant maize, remember? And he no longer has the right to even reserve that seed for the next planting season. So as farmers, the peasant you're talking about are at that level. You cannot now come out and introduce a tax on that same seed, because it's going to increase the price. So if it increases the price, the farmers will not buy seed. If they don't buy seed, they will not plant, there will be no yield, and it will affect the production, which will go down, and then affect the food security at that level of peasant. And in addition to food security, to now come back to the whole issue of inflation. We'll have food inflation, because the food that will be available will be highly priced.
Do you want to tell me that the planning experts are not aware of this particular, rather of this danger of this argument that you're posting?
They are entirely aware, and their argument is that it's a very small amount of money that is going to be taxed. And we are arguing that it could be a small amount of money compared to their own assessments and understanding. But it's not a small amount of money to an ordinary citizen or a peasant that you'd want to describe, because, of course, the argument also has gone to bring into question the middlemen. And with the tax introduction, the middlemen are going to facilitate the process of increasing the prices of, for instance, seed, of fertilizers. And who will pay the price? It is this peasant. Because for you, who is an elite farmer, let me say, an elite agriculturalist, you would have sufficient resources to pay even seed because you're using it for commercial. But the peasant is not using it for commercial. The peasant is using it to grow food for their own household. So you both cannot afford to buy a kilogram of maize seed at 4,000 Uganda shillings. It will be highly priced for that peasant. So if that peasant cannot grow, then food security at that level will be distorted. So they will end up buying seed, in addition to buying seed and buying food. That is not the development we want Uganda to take on.
Instead of pushing for scrapping of taxes, won't you rather fight for markets for agricultural produce, one, fair prices to the farmers, and also improving on agricultural production?
Improving on agricultural production, if I would start from there, cannot happen if we have these taxes, one. Markets alone will not be sustained, and even if we got as many markets as we need for our farmers, we won't have anything to sell to the markets because they'll be affected by the whole taxation system. Our argument is that the revenue that is going to be collected from taxes imposed on agriculture inputs and seed. For instance, if you look at fertilizers alone, the contribution they will make is about $10.2 million US. But we'll use $20.4 million US to collect that 10. So we'll invest more in the collection of the tax revenue that will generate. So it doesn't make economic sense. Why are you spending more to collect little?
Are you trying to help someone do their work?
We're trying to point them to the real problem. Well, our argument actually is that if, as we agree with widening the tax base, if only they were able to review the whole tax exemption, tax holiday, and look at the waivers and try to establish how much are we losing as a country through that. Studies have been conducted and they've hinted at the enormous resources lost within this only category of tax exemptions and tax holidays and reviews. So if only they were able to review that and they will do a comparative analysis that the revenue you're going to collect from taxes and the revenue you're losing through tax exemption to either foreign direct investors or agricultural investors, how much, where is the benefit? You find that the benefit is actually in that. So let the concentration and all the energies be more on that than on generating this small resource, which at the end of the day is not going to even finance the whole budget.
How much dialogue have you had with technocrats prior to coming out with a petition, prior to engaging farmers to sign this petition?
We've had a series of interactions with them, and the good thing
is that... Were they
forthcoming? Partially forthcoming, and their argument is that the brunt will not be felt, but the brunt not being felt from a person who earns a salary of more than, who is actually employed, to a person who is not employed, who is subsisting on only agriculture, there must be a difference. So for them, their appreciation is that it's little salary, but the people are saying it's not little salary. So our interaction has indicated that they need to widen the tax base, and we are entirely in agreement.
That's a valid argument.
Yes, and we're entirely in agreement with widening the tax base. And what we're saying is that, look, this is where the tax base should widen too. And that's why we are pointing them to the whole foreign direct investment, the strategy, the application, the abuse. There's a lot of abuse in foreign direct investment. The second angle where we are directing them to is backstopping corruption. We lose a lot of resources through corruption. So if it is backstopped, we'll have more revenue coming back, and that only two of those areas will help us return resources to our whole budget financing framework.
Your argument sounds plain and sensible. Is anyone picking this?
Of course they are. Haven't you seen them joining the campaign, including now the Right Honourable Speaker? All of them are in agreement. The farmers are in agreement, the members of parliament are in agreement, and through the members of parliament and their support and solidarity to the campaign, we've been able to collect all these signatures, over 1 million signatures in just about a month.
Yeah, but this kind of petition highlights a certain friction between certain arms of government and the executive.
Yes.
If Parliament is in agreement with your argument,
Yes.
then they are clashing with the executive because the executive is pushing for an agenda to raise revenue.
And that same executive is also pushing for an agenda to develop Uganda through agriculture. So the executive's agendas are contradicting, and that's why we have this scenario. If only we didn't have policies that the executive has also supported and is in solidarity with, that encourage agriculture, that encourage development, then they come up with this particular one of widening the tax base, that would be different. But we have the same executive interested in widening the tax base, interested in Uganda's development through agriculture, interested in production alone through agriculture, and that is contradicting.
How about making agriculture a lucrative venture and a preserve of the rich? Wouldn't that be fashionable? Wouldn't that be a good move?
As you can see, Uganda is unstoppable in that direction. We are already on that course.
Yes.
And many, and the argument of the technocrats has been that today the middlemen, the agriculturists who are adding value, who are actually encouraging a lot of agriculture to go on today, are those rich elites who have intervened into agriculture. And our argument is that if they are the elites who are in agriculture, try to ensure that you put a backstop. If your argument is that the elite are changing everything, one person invests in agriculture in 1 month and has accumulated all these resources need to be taxed, we're saying fine, but put a backstop, put threshold. If you're targeting those ones who are coming in and looking it as a lucrative business, target those ones. Don't make it a general and blanket argument to even include the farmers, because if you mix it, you're mixing classes. And when you mix classes, you're mixing rights, you're mixing accessibility, you're mixing potentials of each of these categories. So there is need to divide, to have a divide between these two. Otherwise, the whole population that is engaged in agriculture is going to be affected by these whole taxes.
How practical is your case when you seek to have agriculture as a zero tax venture?
When you look at horse alone, today's agriculture, as it was centuries
survives
back,
on horse, yes.
on horse alone. Agriculture machinery, that's why they're going to give an argument of tractors. So that takes it to a different level. The agriculture where horses are used and the agriculture where tractors are used is different. So if the angle was to take it to that one of agriculture, and they are targeting the ones engaged in agriculture as a lucrative business, that's a different argument. But if you're blanketing all of them together, then it changes. But still, we're all looking at agriculture as the vehicle to develop Uganda tomorrow, Vision 2040.
Yeah, maybe our viewer out there would be keen on knowing what's actually embedded in that petition that was signed by 1 million. Because 1 million is phenomenal to start with, and in such a very short period. We'll get into that. But for now, what is exactly embedded in that proposal, in that petition?
In that petition, we are pointing the eye of the Speaker and Parliament to facts. The first fact is that the taxing of agricultural inputs is inconsistent with government's position on modernizing agriculture alone. And we are pointing out statistics that indicate that agricultural fertilizer use is very low in Uganda, to the tune of 7% used fertilizers. In addition, we are pointing out the fact that use of improved seeds alone is still very low, to the level of 24%. So introducing taxes on these two is even going to make it lower. From 7, we probably will go to maybe 1. But we are the same country that is encouraging application of improved seeds, application of modernized ways of agriculture where fertilizers are used. So if we have this tax, it's going to even discourage more the use of agriculture. That's one fact. The second fact we are pointing out is that imposing taxes on agriculture exceeds even the projected revenue. The cost of raising this revenue will be more than the revenue that will be generated, and it doesn't make economic sense. And we are pointing out facts like I had already told you on fertilizers alone, how we'll be able to raise only 10 million, but we'll use 20 million to generate it. Then the other fact we are pointing out is that taxing agricultural input will lead to a decline in agricultural production because, of course, accessing agricultural inputs will be low, and if they are not accessed, there will be no engagement in agriculture, and of course it will affect the production and then the yields thereafter, and will end into food inflation. So the cost of production will be high, the cost of the produce will be high, the inputs will be highly priced, and that is going to affect the whole sector. Then we are also highlighting that farmers are currently facing higher prices for inputs. Even before the budget is passed, but down there, the prices have gone high of agricultural inputs and seed, fertilizer.
But they've been traditionally high.
They have been traditionally high. And the argument has been that even with the zero-rated tax that they enjoyed a few years back, the prices were high. So there's no reason to keep it zero-rated when the prices haven't gone down. And our argument is that that is not the problem of tax.
If you are
that is the problem of managing and regulating that sector that engages with middlemen, that encourages and facilitates middlemen to come in and extract resources from the unsuspecting public.
Yeah, so but Sophie, if you are realistic, do you think the trend would change with this petition?
That's why we are pointing to these two facts.
One, the prices are already high.
Yes, and with this, the prices are going to be more high. So what are we targeting? Do we want that prices to go high? What exactly do we want?
Okay, as you push for this, there is Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group.
Yes.
It's a coalition of several stakeholders.
Yes.
We see farmers as well.
Yes.
And a few MPs who came on board. Who else are you with?
The key thing here is that we are with the farmers. And it is the farmers' voice that is highly popularized and highly heard. The members of parliament who are joining the campaign are members representing farmers. And interestingly enough, they sat with their farmers to sign the petitions. And they pledged to the farmers that they're going to commit to support the petition when it comes to parliament.
How significant is 1 million when we look at numbers?
1 million is actually significant. We've collected these signatures from over 40 districts of Uganda.
Over what time span?
Over a period of 1.5 months. But interestingly enough, we also had an online petition that was signed by people across the board, including Ugandans in the diaspora, in support of the issue and the campaign.
Do farmers, most of whom, without being offensive, most of the farmers are quite illiterate.
Yes.
Do they really know what you're up to?
To them, what made sense is that you're going to be buying seed at an increased price because it is now taxed more. That is what made sense. You're going to buy a hoe at a price that is more than what you bought that hoe with last year. And that is what made sense to them. They're like, what? So what will I be using? I don't have the money to even buy a hoe. I've saved small money to buy a hoe at a lower price. But if it is higher, it will be difficult for me to buy a hoe.
Yeah, but I wonder whether you've realized that on several occasions, government has been adamant towards calls from civil society. Last year, there was a similar call on health, increasing the health budget. It met a deaf ear. So, what are the chances that this time government is likely to listen to you?
The good thing is that this time it's not on the government. This time the decision is within parliament.
Yeah, even last
time
the
Honorable Speaker has the right over this particular decision. And members of parliament, we have really high hopes on this because they are in support of the campaign.
Yeah, normally members of parliament have been quite enthusiastic at the start, but along the way, the enthusiasm fades. Aren't you really mindful of what is likely to befall this advocacy, this particular petition?
We are, because we know that if it becomes a caucus issue, then it would have been politicized. But this is not a politicized issue. It should not be politicized. It's an issue that is affecting Ugandans and should be looked at from the same perspective.
You don't see it taking a political route?
We don't want it to take a political route.
You don't want?
We don't want.
But circumstances might force it to the political route.
The good thing is that many of them are in solidarity with the issue and are in solidarity with the campaign and the petition in Parliament. So if Parliament has made a pass on it, then even if it's made politicized, Parliament would have pronounced itself on it. And that's why we are petitioning the Right Honourable Speaker, who has the rightful power to address this particular petition.
You seem to be very optimistic towards Parliament's response to this, but you're not being very cognizant of the facts at hand and the reality on the ground. Several MPs would show you this support. But along the way, with caucusing, their stance changes.
But you know, today,
what happens in case the parliamentary route fails?
In case the parliamentary route fails, it doesn't mean the campaign will end. It doesn't mean the interest to have this petition on the floor of Parliament would have ceased. We will continue, because even prior we were engaging with Parliament on similar issues. We will continue engaging with Parliament on the similar issue. And good enough, this is still one window. There is another window that is going to present itself from October 2014 for the next budgeting cycle. So that is still another room where we can still use the same opportunity to embark on the same issues and argue and advocate for them to have taxes lifted.
Well, one would argue that perhaps you're putting the cart before the horse in pushing for a scrapping of taxes. Why, for now, don't you push for a freeze on fake products, fake agriculture products on the market? Why don't you, for instance, push for better prices for farmers? Then you come in with taxes later. You push for what is on the ground at the moment.
But the push for fake agricultural products on the market is not a result of tax revenue, like I said earlier.
Yes.
It is a result of failure to regulate the informal sector. And someone is not doing their job there, has failed to do their job there.
That's why I need to awaken them first.
And we have. And the fact, and could even be deliberate. Some are arguing it could be deliberate. And the fact that someone has failed to do their job does not mean that then you should have measures that circumvent the problem. We have argued and we have called for regulation of that sector. And good enough, there are elements of regulating that sector in this budget for 2014-2015. There are elements of how do we regulate the sector. Starting with Kampala City Council alone, you see the authority has embarked on a strategy of regulating the informal sectors, starting with registration. The general informal sector, no one knows who is in that sector. They will give you these examples of one person has 300 commuter taxis and is generating revenue from those commuter taxis. Good, but who is that person? Who knows how many of such people in the sector that are infiltrating everything in the sector? No one knows them, but they are in there. Someone is telling you that in agriculture, people are investing small, but they are generating big revenues from it, and those are the people we should target to collect this revenue from them. Because in 1 month, you certainly cannot be getting 40 million from only growing maize, and we're like, who knows them? And where are they? So if you know them, it would mean that let's do a whole regulation of who is in this sector, what are they doing?
Yeah, but
and
again,
then apply the rightful tax to them, because the technocrats' argument is that people are generating a lot of revenue from agriculture. And it's like it's a suspicious strategy that, okay, now we know you're getting revenue from there, let's tax you. But no one knows them. If they don't regulate, it's going to be as general as that, and it will affect those who are not actually generating this revenue.
When you look at the budget generally, do you find tax on agriculture the biggest headache, the biggest nuisance?
We have a series of issues that we have raised with the technocrats, we have raised with Parliament, and these are issues we've generated from the general population of Uganda, citizens, on issues they have with the current budget 2014-2015. Taxes was one of them. And good enough, we've raised it to this level and we've generated sufficient debate on taxing agriculture input. But we even had issues with the other tax package, by the way. But we only picked on tax revenue to raise the issue. Good enough, technocrats from Uganda Revenue Authority, from Ministry of Finance, are all over media houses explaining to the general public the taxes, this tax we've introduced on this is how much we're going. We never had that before. We never had that. Taxes will be introduced and that's it. You sit back, you start paying this tax without even knowing that the level of effort you're contributing to the revenue generated in this country and the level of facilitating government's performance. We never had that. Today it is happening because of this $1 million campaign. Sorry, 1 million tax petition. And in addition, we are increasingly seeing that the discussions are also introducing the other taxes. People are asking questions. We heard there are going to be taxes on education institutions. How is that? Moving away from the taxing inputs, taxes on inputs. So the campaign has generated discussion, debate, and discourse wider.
Yeah, but is it as arousing as you would expect? Or
yes,
is it something that ought to be done?
More
work ought to be done?
It's something that they should have done in the beginning, before even taxes were read out in the budget speech and by the Honorable Minister of Finance. That's something they should have introduced the general public to beforehand. But now that they didn't, it is coming out at a time when they have to defend themselves, but also explain to the public. And to us, those are all accountability interventions. They need to be accountable to the general populace because it's us who pay taxes. And because it's us who pay taxes, it's us to ask questions on how well they're using our resources. So, if they come out and explain in advance, the interest to pay tax will be more. Remember, Uganda's interest in paying taxes alone is still so low. Ugandans don't want to pay tax, but don't blame them. They don't know the value addition of paying tax. They are the ones who access public resources, public services, and they don't get help. So they don't even attach any interest in the payment of tax.
Sophie, in essence, in coming out with this campaign, are you out to protect a subsistence farmer? Because I would imagine a heavy investor, someone who is invested heavily in agriculture, a big-time investor, wouldn't be so bothered by the small tax that will be levied on machinery.
And that's why we are saying that the general application, the general introduction, does not support a subsistence farmer.
So you are apologists for subsistence farmers?
We are arguing that taxing inputs of agriculture is going to affect the whole production.
At the moment, how would you describe the agriculture sector in Uganda?
At the moment, the agriculture sector in Uganda has everyone in it, like you are saying. It has the subsistence farmer, and that is the biggest population. Statistics, and increasingly by the end of probably this month, we'll have a new figure. But statistics have shown that over 70% of Ugandans are subsistence farmers. So even if there are few investors in agriculture, they are not more than 30%. They could be 10%. So if you want to tax the whole sector because of the 10%, then you're mainly going to affect the over 70% population who are subsisting on agriculture. Subsisting on agriculture simply means you grow to eat only. You rear to eat, pure and simple.
Yeah, but do you really feel the response from government and other stakeholders is forthcoming?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Do you see a likelihood of the Ministry of Finance maybe toning down a bit?
We've even had discussions with them.
Do you want scrapping or some kind of readjustment?
If they readjust to reflect lifting or to reintroduce the tax exemption, that is good. If they scrap to get rid of the taxes introduced, that is still good. So the zero rated is what we are targeting.
Did you make this input during the budget making process?
Yes. Actually, the whole argument started when we received the budget framework paper earlier in the year, around March, in addition to the budget core circular. We were able to review the plans they had at sector level and at Ministry of Finance level, and the argument started at that time. You usually have what we call pre-budget discussions at a budget committee level in Parliament, at Ministry of Finance level, and with the citizens, where we have the pre-budget dialogue with citizens to introduce to them what government is planning to introduce to come up with the budget, but also to hear their views on the different proposals that will be that are in the budget framework paper. So this discussion started at that time. Fortunately or unfortunately, they resurface again in the budget speech, because the budget speech is the conclusive direction of government on the budget alone for a given period or financial period. So when they resurfaced, we had to take a different strategy now to re-echo the same message that we had been presenting to them in the previous interactions and discussions. And that's why we have the...
Isn't it amazing that farming has now been taken to boardrooms and it's being discussed by financial and tax experts, not the real farmers?
But that's the development that when we talk about modernizing agriculture, that's exactly what it is. And we need to look at it in that same, professionalizing the whole agriculture. Boardroom will definitely have a ripple effect on agriculture that is down there. But the interesting thing is that we cannot avoid, because over the biggest population of Ugandans are subsisting on agriculture.
Yes.
So we can't avoid
Sophie,
being an issue in the boardroom.
Farmer, are you?
I am a farmer. I am a farmer, actually.
I would really want to know from you how much you've been affected by these taxes or these
I am
increments.
the farmer who is using modernized methods of agriculture, who is buying improved seed. Because, of course, I
hope
afford.
you're being honest.
Yes, I'm being honest.
Yes.
Because I can afford. So I'm using improved seed. You see? So I'm the farmer who may be affected by the whole tax. But I'm also encouraging farmers who you could call peasants, you've called peasants, to also use improved seed, because I know the value of using improved seed. Okay?
I thought you would shift the burden onto whoever is going to buy your produce.
Yeah, but for me, I can afford,
yes,
because I have access to market. But for them, they can't afford. You see, that's where the disparity comes in. But I'm also encouraging them to join and farm in groups, because their produce will be in bulk, and they will be bought from in bulk. The market they will get will be buying in bulk. So it adds more value than having individuals engaging in this.
Let's take the discussion to our viewers out there. How popular is the 1 million petition, 1 million signature petition that was forwarded to the Speaker of Parliament, as civil society and farmers ask Parliament or ask government to scrap taxes on agricultural inputs? 0312-265-321 and 0312-265-322. We'd like to hear from you. In the studio, I have Sophie Kyagulanyi, who is a tax expert. She's a tax resource expert with the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group. Morning, Brizalo. Hello. And our Facebook page is NBS Television. You can feel free to make your contribution. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear your input on this particular subject, as farmers oppose a new string of taxes that are going to be imposed on agricultural inputs. But as we speak, already dealers out there, yes, have imposed, or rather have increased the prices of their products.
Yes.
Is there any way you can check this?
The way we can check this is if we are successful and there's a 0 rating on taxes for inputs, then we'll be able to I'm sure, including the Ministry of Finance, who will have the ability to communicate this, and then the prices will be tagged.
Don't you think this waiver is likely to be abused? Because, for instance, there was a waiver on taxes on computers and kerosene, but then it was abused. What safeguards, what measures do you have to safeguard this particular development?
That's what I've argued, and I'll continue to argue it. The fact that a tax waiver is abused does not mean that you reintroduce the tax, because you're not addressing the abuse, are you? Address the abuse. So our call will be to argue and call upon government to address the abuses on these taxes, if it happens.
Well, let's take a few calls for now. 0312-265-321 and 0312-265-322. What's your take on the 1 million signature petition to scrap proposed taxes on agricultural inputs. Morning Breeze, hello. Morning Breeze, good morning. Something seems to be not coming out through properly with our phones. But when was the last time you spoke to the Minister for Finance, for instance, on this particular subject?
We had a planned press conference a week ago with them, with the technocrats, the team, but it did not come through. But we plan to.
Are they dodging you?
No. They are actually the ones who initiated this, so that they better explain to us the purpose of this whole tax, and so that we can go back and explain to the people who are signing the petition. So it's not.
To what extent do you feel that 1 million is representative of the farming population?
It's not representative, by the way, but it is a strong voice. The question is, how many have been able to collect solidarity and support from 1 million Ugandans? That's where the problem is. And moreover, from over 40 districts of Uganda. Could be Kampala, that's possible, but over 40 districts, meaning that the voices are representatively coming from all those districts.
Okay, so how significant is this 1 million signature petition? Well, are all these farmers?
Yes, they are farmers.
Morning, Breeze, good morning. Sorry, we'll take another caller. Morning, Breeze, hello. Hello.
Yes, morning, Simon. I'm just here with the lady there in the studio.
Sophie Kyagulanyi.
Yes, Madam Kyagulanyi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
You see, this is not political. Really go to the villages and see the level of poverty that is there. These people need tractors. They need not even pay taxes on the equipment used for agricultural purposes. What government needs to do is to create a market, for example, Southern Sudan and other countries, so that the produce we produce gets more money and government gets taxes from that, from those countries buying our food. You find that we are a very productive country, but it is Uganda which has the highest rates and taxes in each and everything. But really, if you go to other countries, you find that even government pay subsidies that farmers can produce massively. I want you to go to any part of this country and you find where there is massive. It's not there. If people can produce, go to this market around the roads in Kasubi, Kaleru and all this. And this is the best food for our people. The most healthiest food is sold in other places. So the responsibility of this government, which I belong to, should be to improve the welfare of people in the villages. Moreover, they don't need anything from government. What they need is to create a way that they produce more, they live better lives, they can afford bringing their children to university, even that everybody benefits. But I don't know who is advising our government on this. See, when you are bringing in foreign companies, supermarkets and so on, so huge that they benefit a lot from our people. To me, my advice to government is listen to these voices which are complaining, but it's a responsibility of government. Reduce taxes, even on transport. These buses, people doing the transport business, people transporting products from Mombasa, these trucks should have less taxes on them. That's why you find in Kenya, their buses are coming here, they pay less tax because they are doing a public service. So I advise President Museveni's Excellency to look into these things. Our people in the villages deserve a better life. We don't need to come and build these slums around the city. He has created roads. Some people can go up to the villages. Even diesel needs to reduce prices that we can move to the villages and take the government to the villages to our people. We don't need to be around Kampala. We can sleep like 70, 80 kilometers, sleep in the villages, come and work in Kampala.
All right, we take your point. We never got your name, though.
Thank you. Come in again.
What's your name?
My name, I'm called Jockey.
Jockey, thank you very much. Thank you and have a lovely day. We'll take another caller. Morning, Breeze, hello. Morning, Breeze, good morning. Hello? Well, this looks more like a clear-cut issue, common sense. How come they're not picking it as plain as it is?
I don't think they're failing to pick it as plain as it is, but it is a catch-22 for them.
Yes.
Catch-22 in what sense? Most of the areas where we are pointing them to generate revenue from are sticky, and they don't want to get their hands soiled.
Like?
Corruption. You're already aware that Uganda will lose over $300 million in corruption alone annually. But how many cases of corruption have you seen resulting into returning of that money? Why? Because the political will to fight corruption is not there, pure and simple. So the fact that the political will is not there and they're failing to curb corruption and to backstop or stop the leakage of resources, you, the ordinary farmer, will have to bear the brunt. Is that fair? Second, the foreign direct investors and also other agricultural investors, not only foreign direct investors, many of them are in agreement or have signed memorandums of understanding with government for large periods of time, for 25 years.
With tax breaks?
With tax breaks. I know one which has signed for 25 years and is now a star investor. But how much revenue has Uganda lost alone within that period? One, Uganda is not ready to renegotiate or is not yet aware that it can renegotiate the terms. And actually it can renegotiate the terms. That's why we are saying that go back and review. So if the technocrats went back and reviewed that only agreement and memorandum and renegotiated the terms. The other is that many of those, of course you know that our drive has been to encourage as many investors as we can to come into Uganda. And that's why we have introduced most of these things. But there is no country where encouraging of investors has actually resulted into development. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, many investors have come in, invested, renamed their companies or corporations, been reintroduced into the sector again, reinvested, come in as a new, benefited from the waiver. That period expires, they reintroduce themselves again, and all those would take you to a period of 20 years, and that's all revenue lost. Why? Because we have failed to review, because an investor allowed to invest in Uganda, there are terms and conditions they must uphold. Mm-hmm. There are terms and conditions they agree to, that when I invest in 1 year, I would have employed 1 million Ugandans. Right. In 1 year, for instance, I would have constructed either a commuter rating in terms of transport, I would have, and these investors are not held accountable to what they commit to in condition on the agreements. They are not.
Are we talking about investors or quacks?
That's another question. It's because of this whole regulation that we even have quacks coming in as investors. No one wants to pay. We agree with them, they come in. But we don't go back to check, are you really an investor? And are you adding any economic value to this country? Because that's what the whole purpose of investment is. The whole investment drive under Uganda Investment Authority is to encourage those to come and develop our country. But have they really developed? You find that, for instance, on 10, 2 are real investors. And the other 8 are quacks coming in and working out.
I imagine by the time you came out with this campaign, you did some critical study on how it's done in other countries.
Yes.
Let's make a comparison with, for instance, Kenya and Tanzania. How is it being done in other East African countries?
Kenya, actually East Africa. We've been on this whole drive of encouraging investors, and we're even competing with each other on who has managed to attract as many investors in their country as possible. And that drive or encouragement has led us to pitch within our own pockets. Why? Investors have come, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, All of them are investing in the region, but the investment, no one wants to invest where they're not going to benefit from. There's no one who engages in an economic venture where they're not going to benefit from. So the investment, also they are tactful. They want to invest where they will reap all the profits and be able
What I want us to look at, is there a tax on agricultural input in Kenya, in Tanzania, and in other countries in the region?
In other countries in the region, the whole tax regime is quite similar. And tax inputs are also being taxed, because we find that the same investors that we have in Uganda or all over, because it's a regional issue now.
So you want Uganda to be unique?
If Uganda can be unique, there is no problem with that, especially if the uniqueness is going to take us to an example or a best practice that the others can learn from. There's nothing wrong with that.
But don't you see yourself hitting a dead end when you rely so much on political will?
Political will is relied on, but also legal mandate is relied on. The mandate that is residing in the Right Honourable Speaker to take a decision on this.
What if the parliamentary route fails? Is there any other option?
Like I said earlier, the arguments are going to continue, the interventions are going to continue. It doesn't mean that we are going to be in agreement with whatever Parliament would have passed at the end of the month. If it doesn't take on some of the proposals we are bringing on board, we'll continue the same argument. We may not have a petition, but probably it will come in at a later stage, but we will employ other strategies to ensure that the message sinks in everyone, and then probably a decision.
Soliciting 1 million signatures looks like a confrontation to the authority. Why not adopt a more harmonious approach other than going for petitions?
You know, with civil society, we use all approaches. We don't stick to, because the harmonious has always been there. We have an open door policy with the technocrats and with government departments. They're working on issues that we usually take on. And we always interact with them. But also engaging with other ad hoc strategies that may come in, and probably some of them could be a little controversial, as you're saying, is another strategy we take on. The intention of all these strategies for us to be able to make the point sink.
Do you think 1 million signatures would be big a slap to government to feel that actually, yes, these people have a point?
Yes, especially if it is generated from citizens, which citizens you're going to go back to in a few months to ask for their vote. Because to them, this is going to be an accountability question to you.
So that makes it political again.
Yes.
That makes it political automatically.
But that's not what you're targeting. It's not a political discussion here.
All right. Thank you very much. Sophie, it was really nice. Unfortunately, we couldn't get so many phones. There was a technical problem. But however, it's been a very interesting discussion with you. I always love chatting with technocrats like you. Thank you for coming in. That's all we had for you on the Morning Breeze. I see a thread of comments on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media pages. Keep the conversation going. Have a blessed day for now.
NBS Television.
Let's run! To fight cancer! Join the run! To fight cancer! Everybody! And let's run to fight cancer! Join the Rotary Cancer Run on Sunday, 31st August at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds, 7 a.m. Register for 10,000 shillings. All proceeds will go to the completion of the Rotary Centenary Bank Cancer Ward at St. Francis Hospital in Zambia. Register from the Rotary Office, 9th floor, Nick Building, Centenary Bank branches, Bridge Credit Finance opposite the main post office, and Capital Shoppers Outlets. The Rotary Cancer Run 2014 is sponsored by Centenary Bank and Pepsi, and supported by New Vision, Events Warehouse, Monitor Publications, Fusion Africa, Graphic Systems, Bank of Uganda, St. Lawrence University,
Aquasipi Mineral Water,
Mad Advertising, and NBS TV.
Exotic Hair Salon, the master hairstylist and color specialist. Exotic has been grinding out the funkiest, fashionable haircut designs for well over 14 years. At Exotic, we offer shampoo and style, touch-ups, virgin and partial relaxers, Press and curl, permanent or semi-permanent color highlight and foils. Get a weave infusion, either bond or sew-in. For hair services, natural hair cornrows, braids, dreadlocks, fixed up, spa services done in a hygienic environment, ensuring the safety of our customers. At Exotic, men can get haircuts by professional barbers on site. Kids are also welcome for hair services. We are located at Kamocha, opposite Parkhead by the market. Exotic Hair Salon, your home of fashion.
Win big with Omo First Action. Simply collect Omo wrappers, take a mubaso kuya manyago, and drop it at the nearest collection point. Tosuwa, Omo Eka Muderuno. Shopping vouchers, washing machines, pasizama senyaraze, laundry baskets, with a grand prize of 10 Toyota Primos. The more wrappers you collect, the higher your chances of winning. Mama, washing with Omo has never been more rewarding. See press and posters for details.
8 top clubs, the world's best lineup: Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema. Is Real Madrid on their way to win the championship? Will Toure and Nasri lead their own club to make a breakthrough? Van Persie, Rooney, Manchester United need the chance to prove themselves after changing the coach. 2014 International Champions Cup. New start, new journey, all on StarTimes Sport 2.
You know, the warmer it gets, the more I get washed. But I never lose my color.
And after you dry, don't you just love how you smell?
Of course. But you know, Nomi is always kind to clothes. Wash after wash, I feel as good as new.
The other day I got a stain from chocolate on my leg, but a quick soak and rub, and it was gone in a flash.
That's because of the after-acting stain removal enzyme.
Hey, Socks, you have turned green with envy.
Oh, please.
East Africa loves Nomi whitewashing powder from Mukwano. Stains lift fast, color never fades, and the fragrance is amazing.
You know, I still love hanging with you guys.
Nomi brings new life to your clothes with every wash.
This is New Close-Up Deep Action. We created it to give the world 3 times fresher breath and eliminate up to 99% of germs. Maybe we went too far. There's an outbreak of freshness. Now the best ever from Close-Up. 3 times fresher breath.
Welcome to this very edition of the breakfast meeting. My name is Sam Johnson Semaganda, and of course, a number of things are still making a number of talking points in the country. But one fact that is not really debatable is the realization that communication, in whichever sense that you think about that, is a very big push, is a very big drive in as far as the economy is concerned. How you break this down and how you handle communication is very, very important, especially in the era that we are living in. And of course, when you have to talk about communication, a lot of things go down into discussion. But this morning, we wanted to take a minute or two and look at one of those very key components of our communication, especially in this country, and that would make our discussion on this breakfast meeting. We want to look at the Uganda Film Festival 2014, and we want to really squeeze as much time as we possibly can to see that we really get an understanding of what exactly goes down in this film festival. And of course, it is, of course, organized and run by Uganda Communications Commission, who have the people that have their mandate to do this. And of course, one of those other pushes that the Commission is trying to see that they revamp the film industry and see how far we can stretch with this. And of course, with me, I'm going to have Helena Mayanja, who is the public relations expert from Uganda Communications Commission. Helena, welcome to this breakfast meeting.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. And of course, later on, not so long from now, a second or two from now, I'll also have Medi Kagwa, who is the head of broadcasting and multimedia in UCC. Maybe if I can pick it from Helena, first things first. We have this film festival that has been popularized, it's been everywhere. Just earlier this morning, I ran to hashtag UFF14.
Yes.
What exactly, why did you decide to organize this kind of festival as UCC?
As you correctly said, thank you for having me, first of all. Good morning.
Yeah.
As you correctly said, it is part of UCC's mandate to regulate the film industry. So we were thinking of a way to stimulate and develop the film industry, and we came up with the Uganda Film Festival. We started it last year. So this year, this is the second installment of the Uganda Film Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
How is it going so far? I mean, if you can pick on the progress so far, this far.
So far, very good. Very, very brilliant. Actually, we're being overwhelmed by the numbers and the interest in the industry. We are a young industry. Our film industry is very young, but it is overwhelming the interest that people have for it. We started on Monday. Yesterday was the beginning of the other activities that we're doing, and at the screenings, which is one of the activities we're doing in different places in Kampala, we were overwhelmed by the numbers. People are supporting the Uganda Film Festival and the Ugandan movies, Ugandan talent.
Very, very interesting.
Yes.
Just on my left, let me just cross over to Medi. Medi, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, a few seconds into this, and no, of course, we're not going any far, but welcome to this, and of course, very interesting to know that the festival is running. And what exactly have you been able to run into as the man in charge of broadcast and multimedia? What has been the reception of this? What kind of reception has it got from the broadcast and the multimedia side of the story?
Thank you for hosting us. The Uganda Film Festival has been very well received by the general public and by the broadcasters. Remember, the Commission put 70% local content quotas. Of between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. they're supposed to broadcast 70% local content.
Yeah.
Most broadcasters are willingly complying. They are showing more Ugandan movies, more Ugandan dramas on their television stations, and even the general public itself has supported us greatly. Yesterday we have partners who are having free screenings. That is Ham Cinema at Makere, Century Cinema at Acacia Mall, and Cinema Magic at Nalia. And all halls were full.
Wow.
So,
as far as broadcast is concerned, you're having a good run.
We're having a good run.
Very interesting. Helena, maybe if you can walk us just back a few things we can put in perspective. This is the second time it's running.
Yes.
We had it last year.
Yes.
If you can check just the strings of time between now and then, if you can stretch them, what exactly do you think has been achieved before? And you've been on this rail in focus. What do you think has been achieved by those who participated before?
So much has been achieved, especially first of all, they get accolades. They get, mention
Awards.
and recognition for their work.
Sure.
But then also above and beyond that, they get a lot of training from international stars. Some of the movies that took part last year went on to win in other festivals, for example, in the Nigerian Film Festival. Yeah. Others went on to take part in the Cannes Film Festival. Ugandans went to Cannes Film Festival. That's a big deal.
The one that running is in France? Yeah,
yes,
sure.
That's a big deal. So there's a lot of development that has come out from development of the industry, and employment is also something that has come out of Uganda Film Festival.
Okay, and who are the people really that are facilitating this? I don't know if you can give us a little bit of profiling them, if you can.
Okay, we have strictly award winners. No, not strictly, but mostly award winners. Yeah. We have Femi Odugbemi from Nigeria. He's an award-winning filmmaker and producer. Right now he's working on Mnet's Tinsel. It's a very popular soap.
Sure.
And he's not just been working on Mnet, he's also been our lead judge for the Uganda Film Festival this year, for the people who brought in their movies for the awards. Yeah. And he's now going to be training.
Oh, so hands-on.
He started his hands-on. He started yesterday. He's doing a beginner's class at at Kampala Film School.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
That's one of them.
What kind of do you think what kind of reactions do you think the local film people have had to get from? To put to running into these people, meeting them, rubbing shoulders with them, and all that. What kind of experience do you think they're having?
I think it's an amazing experience. First of all, these are people they look up to. Yeah. These are people who, you say Femi to the layman here, they want it's not a big deal, but to them it makes sense because this is someone they can learn from. This is someone who can give them pointers on what they can do.
A line of inspiration.
Line of inspiration.
Wow, very interesting. And maybe, Mehdi, quite a number of activities have been lined up into this. Are you happy with the progress this far? And what do you think, what's your appreciation over the progress this far as you've moved on?
Well, the progress is really good. One, we have trainings, and we have 3 trainings. We have one at Kampala Film School, where we have over 60 people participating in a beginner's course, and the period of training is 3 days, and at the end of 3 days, they're supposed to shoot a film which is going to be shown on our closing gala night. So it is a 3 days hands-on training.
Okay.
You write a script, you produce a movie, you shoot, do sound, show, 3 days. Wow. So anyone just beginning to do film, that experience is amazing.
Wow.
We have an exhibition market going on at National Theatre, and
these are running
concurrently.
Wow.
Now, the general public is invited. You can go to National Theatre. You will see Ugandans doing film. We have people exhibiting stalls. We have people who have done our Ugandan jibs. The cameras are Ugandan. They have customized them to fit our local settings. And we have people selling DVDs of Ugandan movies and costumes. So it's really colorful at the National Theatre. And I urge the general public to come and have a look.
Must be very interesting.
Then we have free screenings, like I said earlier. And the free screenings are absolutely free from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You just visit our partner cinemas, that is Ham Cinema, Century Cinema, and Metroplex, Nalia, Century Max, and National Theatre. So all those activities are happening concurrently, and we also have outdoor screenings. So if you in a neighborhood and you hear a van showing you movies, local movies,
the next place.
That is a Uganda Film Festival, bringing it close to the people.
Wow. Yeah, and maybe talking activities, quite a number of them lined up for this from Monday, that is the 25th. If you check, if we're talking progress, if you check on how much you really had envisioned to do and how far we are right now, do you think you've been able to handle? Helena seconds ago was talking of the overwhelming reception they have got from the festival goers, if I may use the line.
Yes.
Do you think in terms of activities you are on course and you've been able to achieve within the time that you had set to achieve them?
Yes, I would say as a commission we have achieved more than what we set out to achieve. The trainings, we thought we were going to handle a class of 20 people. We are overwhelming numbers.
Are you talking some little bit of underestimation?
No, we felt, you see, we had to think of people. We felt that the interest would be the people in the industry, practitioners. However, we got people who are just willing to learn and interested in the industry. So from the estimate of 25, we're able to move it to 60 because we're having one trainer and there's a limit to the number of people we can handle. Then we have exhibitions. We have stalls. We have planned for 50. We ended up having to accommodate 80 and turn away some others. Then the screenings, our partners are telling us, I wish we had known and we had said the screenings going up to 10 p.m. Because we just have to keep telling people, come back tomorrow.
Some lessons to pick. Somewhere along the way. Mehdi here is talking of a free screening and all that. Quite very interesting. What kind of movies are you screening? What kind of products are you screening?
We're screening over 100 Ugandan movies. Over 100 Ugandan movies, yeah. And we're screening them, Mehdi has already mentioned the places and the times, but also the National Theatre ones, though, are going to start from 7 p.m. Because, of course, during the day we have the film market. Yes.
Wow. And of course, this is all in that other big effort to get Ugandans rallied on to their film industry and all that.
Yes.
One very big question that we've had to grapple with as a country and as a citizenry is the little bit of lack of interest in what really belongs to us. I normally call that seeing the obvious last.
Yes.
Yeah. How as you go we are at this for now the second time.
Yes.
Have you been able to check on the progress of people getting interested in what really belongs to them as far as this is concerned?
Yes, we have. It is even evident in the numbers, like Mehdi was just saying now, in the numbers of people who entered their movies, the number of people. We have a lot of Ugandans who win or enter their movies into film festivals or awards happening around Uganda, but never in Uganda. So the interest that has been built, that has been created through Uganda Film Festival, shows that we are it's a step in the right direction.
Wow.
Yes.
Very interesting. Hopefully, as we carry on with this festival, maybe next year, a number of people will get on board and we see that we get these to the heights that we need it to be.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe, Mehdi, if you look at the film industry in this country, broadcast and, of course, multimedia, we've always, particularly on the issue of the film industry, we've had a citizenry that looks up to the Western side, Nigeria, Ghana, and all that, but most importantly, Nigeria. And when I heard you guys here mention seconds ago that you're having award-winning Nigerians and all that, do you think this is some other bit of taking Ugandans back to that Nigeria is based kind of perception as far as when it comes to movies is concerned? Because you'll find a lot of local movie producers kind of thinking of Nigeria, how was it in this Nigerian movie, how can I do it locally here? And have we appreciated that we can think globally but act locally as far as this is concerned?
Thank you. The Commission considered that. Why we chose Nigerian is the population in Uganda can easily relate to Nigerian movies because the themes they're acting about are close to the Ugandans. Okay? But we are not only having Nigerian trainers here. We have Richard West from South Africa. We have Amand Guy De Beers from South Africa. We have Rosie Muteni from South Africa. They are all here during the Uganda Film Festival, and we have our local training partners and trainers also carrying out training at the same time. Okay? The lighting for masterclass, because we got Ugandans who are professionals and need to be trained better in light, and that is carried out by South Africans. Now, you said earlier that we are trying to copy the Nigerian model. Not true. Ugandans, all people in Uganda, want to watch what is close to their heart. That is why you see that our Vivandas show translated movies.
Something closer.
Something closer. Now, once we get our Ugandan movies in our local languages, we won't have to have those people translating. And the beauty about the Uganda Film Festival is we don't have only films from Kampala. They're coming from all over Uganda: Gulu, Arua, Asfas, Mbarara, Chigezi, etc. Now, all those are being screened for free and they're being brought closer to home.
Yeah, talking of upcountry places and, of course, making movies and getting them on board and, of course, showcasing them. How far do you think you've stretched in as far as covering the nation? And, of course, talent is everywhere in this country and all that. Creativity is everywhere. This is a very creative country. A number of people in this country are very creative in as far as movies and all that, storytelling and all that is concerned. How far have you stretched in as far as capturing what exactly is entailed in this is concerned?
Thank you. You see, a festival week has only 5 days.
Yeah.
But what we have been doing as a commission is, apart from the festival week, we have been carrying out film-related outreach programs. We go to the different areas of the country.
Have you zoned out like regions and say we are here?
Yes, north, east, west, and south, and central. We go there and visit, and we do a mini festival.
Okay.
We come, we train the people in the area, we show them the local movies, we talk about what they need to do, what they give us feedback on what they would like to see, and we get people interested in the film industry. We can't do that during the film festival week, but we phase it to be done.
Do you incorporate
all over
that,
the year.
what you get from the field and the upcountry places
into the
that?
film festival? That is what we do. It is a whole year event, and we phase it quarterly. Okay. This quarter we go to a big area, we train, we get films from there, and then it all culminates into the one film festival week from 25th to 29th August.
Wow. And how is the feedback process running? Because if you go pick something from there, you need to take back something.
We do have feedback. We have very many mechanisms. One, we have regional offices in Mbale, Mbarara, Gulu, and Masindi. And those people are also conversant with what is happening in Kampala. That is the first feedback mechanism. We have Twitter, we have internet, and we do have radio announcements and TV announcements which give feedback to those people. And then we do actually do another trainings after the festival to go and tell them what happened and what feedback we got on their product.
Wow. Quite interesting. Helena, what are some of the key highlights for you so far? Some of those things that really have fascinated you about this, and possibly that will give you another line of courage to carry on with possibly the third or so many festivals to come.
Definitely the numbers, the reception that the Ugandans have had for the film festival has been nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
And this is just day two. Just day two. And even with the rains, even with people are trekking to the cinemas, people are coming to the exhibitions, people are coming to the classes, people are learning, people want to learn, which means we have to make it bigger and better every year after.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, very interesting. And maybe as someone goes through this, they would imagine we have a number of local movie producers. We have a number of stakeholders into this.
Yes.
How representative is the population down there, or the people that are getting their hands onto this? How representative is that number of what we actually have as in the industry? Do they really represent what we need to get into that festival?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yesterday, we were talking to a number of filmmakers, Ugandan filmmakers, who are not, initially, they were not happy that they had been put in a category with Tanzanian blockbusters. But then when we explain to them that their work is actually up to par, because it's even with our filmmakers, they don't believe that
they
their
don't
work
believe
is
in
that
themselves.
good.
Yeah.
They think our work is strictly local and not global.
It should be just local.
It's strictly local. But they were amazed to find that they are as good as, or even better than, some of the other movies that they feel are like blockbusters. So it's very representative. Just to go back to your question.
Okay.
A lot of them from the opening. We had a launch of the film festival in June this year, and a lot of the movie producers, actors, actresses were all there in big numbers to support this, and also encouraging others who are interested in the industry to come and support it.
Wow.
So there's overwhelming presence.
And we've also had this bit of, okay, we can have them in numbers, working on movies and all that everywhere in this country, but getting them into some bit of, unison, some bit of organized arrangement, and you're putting these heads together so we can achieve what exactly we want to achieve has been quite a challenge for quite a lot of times.
It has
I don't know the efforts that deliberate you've put in place to see that you get these guys to join hands, to put heads together, to see that we have a clear focus on where we're headed. How much of that have we had to achieve so far?
So far, we're taking baby steps. We have started by talking to them individually, because this is something new. We've started by talking to them individually and just getting a feel of what they think we should be doing. And as the regulations and policies are put in place, then we'll get them back together.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Any setbacks in as far as how you had planned this is going down? Any setbacks? Any challenges that you say, okay, we did not see this coming? Maybe I had you mention of the overwhelming numbers.
It's the numbers. Apart from the numbers, no, we haven't had any setbacks. It's been amazing. Apart from the numbers, which I don't even look at as a setback. I think it's a good thing that people are that interested in local content.
It's a welcome challenge.
It's a welcome challenge.
Very interesting. Maybe if we go through this, it's running up to the 29th. Today we have about 2 days to go.
Yes.
Yeah. what would we draw from this that possibly could form some form of springboard for the upcoming, possibly, I don't know how many you have to, how you have in focus. What do we have as some bits of lines of springboards to see that we step on that and we know we have a better run possibly next time?
Yes, one, I believe UCC has created a platform where all producers, actors, costume makers, directors, distributors, all of them have met and have had chance to interact. So going forward, if I'm a new beginner, I've known that if I want to act or I want to get cameras, I need to go to Grips and Sparks. If I want lights, I need to go to Grips and Sparks. If I want sound, there's Kampala Film School, the Maisha Film Lab will do trainings. Okay? So I believe we have created awareness and set a base that if you want a film to do it, to enter the film industry, the service providers are there, the trainers are there, the opportunities are there. So we believe that going forward, one, employment creation is going to be done because more movies are going to be produced. Two, the commission has set the local content quota 70%. So broadcasters are now going to be aware that content is there to be bought. You don't have to go out to get soaps, foreign soaps to show to people. The content is already here. Three, training opportunities. Four, we have interested banks and other partners to come and finance the film industry.
That is one other big challenge that we've had. Financing these projects it has been quite a headache for many of these guys because you find them with a lot of talent, a lot of creativity, but their ideas just die on paper and nothing really ever takes shape. Yes. I don't know if this has been part of that or it's in the process.
No, it has been part of this because we have had many people coming to see what is actually happening and they have expressed interest in actually buying. Just because the actual owners there, we couldn't enter into contract immediately.
Right there.
Right there. But we believe that we have created a platform where buyers and sellers are meeting. So going forward, financing is not going to be a very big challenge because banks, grants have been made aware that there's Ugandan local content market ready to be tapped into.
Wow. To that participant that is in this, that has possibly in this since Monday, what do you think could be one of the key issues that they are taking away from this, Helena?
They are learning from the best. That is key. They are learning from people who have been in the industry for a very long time, people who have achieved and worked and have done very well in the industry. I think the best person to learn from is someone who has actually been in the road they have taken and have prospered. So from the people who they're going to meet, the things they're going to learn, I think that's going to be the best thing they'll take away from the film festival.
Okay, and what next after the festival? Someone could ask, what next? The festival has been here, but by the goings of what you're mentioning, it sounds like it's so far a success. This far. What next after the festival?
They've made a lot of contacts this far, so they can actually get into other movies, or I don't know which line they'll take. For example, Mehdi was talking about the lighting for film and sound for film. That's job creations right there. So they could get jobs, they could find whatever they needed in film that they didn't know existed before, from Grips and Sparks, Uganda Film, Kampala Film School, National Theatre. There's a lot to gain from the film festival.
Okay, and when I said what next, I don't know if we can break it down. That could be next for those that have been participating in
those
this.
That have been
what about what next for UCC after the Uganda Film Festival 2014?
In as far as
this is concerned,
festival.
Yeah.
I think maybe you would.
Please.
Yes. One, you see, we believe as UCC, we wanted to bring international stars to Uganda and enable our Ugandans learn from the best. We have managed to bring Rosie Muteni. She has acted in Generations.
Very celebrated TV person.
True. We have brought Patience Ozoko, very popular Nigerian artist.
No doubt.
Popularly called Mama G, I hear. She's called Mama G, but
sure.
she's a very popular Nigerian artist. All those we are intended to bring inspiration to these local artists. Going forward, what are we going to do as UCC? One, we're going to continue with stakeholder awareness. We believe film our Ugandan stories are best told by Ugandans, and the best stories lie in the rural areas. So we are going to roll out this festival further to the rural areas and bring those stories to the screens. 2, we are going to keep out carrying the trainings. Remember, we have training partners inside Uganda, and we can bring in international training partners to support those local trainers. So for Ugandans going forward, training is going to be done. As a commission, we have tried to streamline the regulation of the film industry, working with our sister agencies like Media Council and Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Media Council does the classification and censorship. Uganda Registration Services Bureau does the copyright issues, registration and enforcement. So we are making it...
Are you doing some bit of chaining of all these activities? Because we have copyright, we have production, we have guys in the movies and all that.
Yes.
And it's got to be rather a chain.
Yes, we have managed to meet as those bodies, and we have mapped our way forward of how are we going to regulate the film industry and harness the potential that there is.
Oh, very interesting. Maybe let me have your parting shot in as far as this is concerned, and possibly after that I'll have Helena.
Yes. Well, Uganda Film Festival is on. Please come to the cinemas for free movie experience. Come to National Theatre and see what Ugandans have to offer.
We're still running up to the 29th?
Yes.
Okay, possibly sometime for someone who has not been able to attend since Monday, they could still have something to grab and take away with. Helena, what's your parting shot in as far as this is concerned? And I don't know what you have for us, possibly as we get closer to the 29th.
Again, as Mehdi has just said, please come to the film festival, come to the National Theatre, go to the movies. Send us your thoughts, your views, using the on social media, using the hashtag UFF14. And you can also stand a chance to come to the win and come to the awards gala on Friday.
Oh, the awards are on Friday?
Yes.
Oh, many thanks. Helena Mayanja is a public relations specialist with the Uganda Communications Commission, and of course, Mehdi Kagwa is the head of broadcasting and multimedia at the same commission. Many thanks to you, Helena.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks to you, Mehdi. This is what actually is belonging to us, and I've always told Ugandans, fellow Ugandans, that we should always see the obvious first, not last. One of those pushes we have to do to see that we get our movie industry to the next level. Many thanks, and that brings us to the end of this breakfast meeting. My name is Sam Johnson Semaganda. May your day break.